So it does appear that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is indeed headed to Washington to hammer out details on a peace deal that would involve giving some of Ukraine's rare earth minerals to the United States, as well as U.S. participation in a post-war reconstruction fund. Now, Zelenskyy has many reasons to be suspicious of Trump, if for no other reason than the job Trump did reconstructing Atlantic City. But that zinger aside, there are a number of bigger reasons why Ukrainians and the rest of the world should be skeptical that this deal will hold. For the last 30 years or so, the U.S. has engaged in a pattern of entering into international agreements only to walk away when the White House changes parties. Bill Clinton entered the Kyoto Protocol on climate change. George W. Bush walked away. Obama collaborated with several countries to develop the Iran nuclear deal. And Trump ripped it up. And while it would be easy to portray this as Republican presidents habitually reneging on international commitments, we have to remember that their Democratic predecessors never got buy-in from Congress or their Republican counterparts, so they could be just as easily blamed for steamrolling the opposition. But it wasn't always like this. Nixon was able to normalize relations with China despite the suspicions of anti-communist hardliners here in the United States. And Reagan was able to ink a deal with the Soviet Union to reduce their stockpile of nuclear weapons despite objections from hardliners within his own party. So why is this so difficult now? Since the late 1990s, the ideological distance between both parties has increased to such a degree that now crossing the aisle to pass meaningful policy is as anathema as sitting down with communists was during the Cold War. But there's broad consensus among Americans on the whole as to what we should do. Most Americans support NATO, feel something should be done about climate change, and aren't comfortable with cozying up to Putin. The issue is that independents, the largest voting bloc in America, are shut out of the conversation. Since 2000, independents have gone from about a third of all voters to almost half, and membership in both the Republican and Democratic parties has shrunk. And because of structural obstacles that keep independent and minor party candidates from gaining a foothold in elections, independents remain stuck in the crossfire in a war between two political minorities. Now, America's standing on the world stage will diminish if we can't put policies in place that last more than 4 years. And there's wide agreement amongst Americans, which means we need to implement reforms that'll open up the two major parties to real political competition if we want this to change. I'm one of those voters caught in the crossfire, and I know I'm not the only one. And the goal of this content is to build an army of people who will go out and implement the changes necessary to get government back to the business of actually governing. So if you're one of those people too, drop me a follow, like this, share this, and help me get the word out. Thank you.